I don't know. Do you think we ought to record while this guy's pounding next door?
You think it'll be done soon?
I hope so.
Little pounding never hurt anybody.
No, the Latin music, the pounding. Well, they're framing.
Oh, that's a whole different issue.
It is.
This is Stephanie at the Spunky Monkey Bar and Grill in Auburn, Washington, and you're listening to Chasing Ghosts on Scooters and Bars. And now back to the boys.
Chasing Ghosts on Scooters in Bars. Very soon, we hope. The podcast that blends the modern scooter lifestyle with a twist of the paranormal over a cool cocktail.
Bar reviews, scooter talk, and ghost stories. We are an independent, but dependent on alcohol podcast that follows a group of modern and vintage Vespa riders in search of classic pubs, dive bars, haunted taverns, and really we're just looking for a good time. This is not smart or safe.
Hasn't been yet.
We've never been accused of being too smart. So as a disclaimer, I guess, we don't encourage drinking and riding, but what the fuck? We're on the edge.
Right. We keep our drink to 1 per hour, right?
Yeah, legally, yes.
Right.
That's how we do it.
That's the legal contract.
I do want to say, though, that the Molly conversation about you can never have too much Jaeger is if you hold your lips to the bottle, is it one drink?
And that's Molly that said that.
Or if you never empty it, it's still only one drink.
All right, welcome to episode 40.
Sporty 40.
That's right, Homewreckers. Today we're featuring an interview with Monique and Alex, the eclectic married hosts of the Homewrecker Podcast. And their unique blend of paranormal, movie reviews, and professional wrestling mirrors very much like we do with these off-brand topics like chasing ghosts on scooters and bars. So naturally, we were very attracted to them, even though they are all the way in New Hampshire.
It doesn't surprise me you found them.
We did. And we snuck in a scooter ride or two, a parking lot of a bar or two, plus we have fun facts, scooter news, spooky news, all in this annoying little passion project podcast package.
Wow.
What do you think of that?
Sounds like we got enough for a podcast.
Hey, who do we have today?
Well, Scout is here.
Why don't you introduce yourself and
Mark.
tell us a little bit about it.
I'm Mark, the Scout.
Yeah.
And the Grip, and many other things.
You have a lot of nicknames.
I'm a handyman.
You are. What have you been doing?
I have just been on a little golf trip in Port Angeles, Washington.
Really? You're allowed to travel? Why aren't the rest of us?
Well, although I'm not Sweden, I'm taking their approach.
And you're going for the herd
immunity. That's right.
You mean our governor granted you permission to travel?
Did you send
as
a
a
note?
Washingtonian,
You are a state employee, are you not?
I am vital.
So tell us about Port Angeles.
Weather was great. The sun was out both days. Got a pretty good round of golf in. The last few holes were a little sketchy.
So there's like a coach's meeting,
A little coach basketball
convention.
retreat type thing. Yeah.
So no drinking, just pretty much studying and
hardwood.
playbooks.
Only hardwood.
There we
In the morning. Just in the morning.
Did your wives go?
Not at all.
So let's talk about the hardwood again.
It was pretty evident in the morning.
Right. You took a ride. We did a little interview with another podcast in here, and you took a ride afterward. Anything happen there?
Well, I had a hard time getting home.
Right.
I took a different way.
We're going to get back to that in a little bit. Lizard, how about you? Welcome to the brand new podcast studio. What do you guys think?
You know, we have really stepped up our game. This is beautiful. I'm not sure who's responsible. Probably your wife.
She is. She put up sound deadening foam on the walls. We have this full curtain that pulls around a rounded rail. New lighting.
Anything to keep you out of the house.
We've got hair and makeup over there. We've got refreshments in the kitchen
and a fluffer in the corner.
So Lizard, what's been happening with you?
Well, other than a fluffer.
Other than what? Mark, step in here, help him out.
Other than having a fluffer, I put my boat in the water. I put my boat in the water a couple weeks ago,
You remember the plug?
I did.
Okay.
And
it was the battery. That
we
was the
had
problem.
we had a beautiful weekend there, and that was fantastic. Lately, it's been windy as hell in my neighborhood, and I've been a little bit nervous with my boat on a buoy. But
Take the kite out.
yeah. But I'm going to survive that. I wake up at night and I look out the window 2 or 3 times to make sure she's still out there.
And your boat is as well?
Yeah. But we're just about into boating season, and
No, it's boating season.
yeah, according to you, it
Yeah,
is.
we are nuts. Yeah, so busy.
Good.
I
What
mean,
else? What
boating
else?
and scooter riding are like the 2 things you can do in lockdown that is both joyful and at the same time legal. So really
Except
fun.
nothing's
Boating's
open.
Again, our governor cautioned on being too joyful, and he's the grand puppeteer, so we got to do what he says.
Well,
But
kind of.
wait. My mom told me don't talk politics at the dinner table. So
Or,
sorry,
or religion.
sorry, Mom, but I'll keep my mouth shut. That's it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So,
What about you?
well, we're
You're back to work.
Absolutely crazy. In fact, just as you asked that, my phone started ringing from work, and I don't know why that is, but it
Probably
is
because
I
it's 2
told
in the
them-
afternoon and you should still be at work.
I am. I'm working. Yeah, just crazy busy. People wanting boats because that's where they can take their families
that's
during
a
the
good thing,
summer.
right?
Yeah, it's good. But we came back with a limited crew. We were locked down. Everybody's got masks on. Certain people can't come back because they're vulnerable. So we have a smaller crew and higher levels of expectations because we weren't expecting it. We thought it would be busy, but it is nuts.
Anybody
Busy.
ever come in and say they like the cut of your jib?
No, because we're not a sailboat fucking place.
Oh, maybe if you had a
That
jib
was a
shoved
good
up
Yeah,
your ass,
way
you
to
would
show
be.
your boating skills.
I'm from Switzerland, remember? It's landlocked.
Please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Somebody just did the other day. Thank
No
you
way.
very much. They didn't say who they were. They just gave us 5 stars, which was very, very
They're
nice.
probably from New Zealand.
Now, our New Zealand listenership has come down a little bit, but you know what's come up?
What's that?
South Africa.
Really?
No kidding.
Yeah, we're popular in South Africa.
You know what? I think we need to get into our RV and take a road trip.
That one is, we're going to need that floating RV to get over there or buy one when we get there. So go to our Facebook page at Chasing Ghosts Pod, and please give us a review on Facebook if you can, or Apple Podcasts. We're also very alive on everywhere else, Pandora, Spotify, iHeartRadio. We have our own Alexa app, or Skill, as they like to say.
And we have our new show on the History Channel. It's on 8 p.m. on Wednesdays.
No, but speaking of the History Channel, I
have a new
have been
ranking, I
watching
thought.
the new Skinwalker Ranch deal, which
That's
is
good.
It's pretty good. I mean, the fact that we talked about it, we read the book, and we get that, but they take these little bits and pieces and they stretch it out over a whole long period of time. But still, a really crazy, weird place. So check that out on the History Channel, along with the Blue Book, Project Blue Book, which was pretty good. They canceled it though; it's not going to have a 3rd season.
And American Pickers.
American Pickers, very good. A lot of scooters. They're scooter guys.
That's right.
Which is really, really cool. So
Is this where we're going to talk about our new ranking, or are we saving that for later?
our new ranking,
Yeah.
do we have a new one? How can you get above number 1?
You were boasting last week.
Oh,
We started in the 80s or whatever.
No, we started in the 2000s.
Oh, shit.
no.
That's embarrassing. How the hell do we keep podcasting after
Thanks
that?
for bringing that up. I didn't actually put it in our notes, but Chartable is a company that keeps an eye on where your podcast is at different times. And between the last podcast we did and this particular one, and the last one was with Sarah Blessington,
Right.
if you remember. And we moved up to number 72 in the United States for personal journal podcast for a brief moment.
Wow. So that $1,000 I sent to Chartable really paid off. Huh?
It did. They sent me back 900.
I sense in your tone a little slippage.
Well, the thing is, you can't. They just give you a once a week deal.
It's a fluid situation.
Right. But it was kind of cool to be in the top 100 in the United States.
Hell
of a
yeah.
Personal journal podcast, even though it's not a personal journal.
And my wife,
We're
my
gonna
wife
look for.
seemed very impressed with your numbers.
Yeah, I accidentally included her when we talked about that, and what'd she say? Keep fucking patting yourself on the back, boys. She didn't think it was very funny. But this is why we are the #1 scooter podcast in the world. Hey,
You did a fun facts segment last episode.
we did.
You have
I
more
was
fun
trying
facts?
it out. I was trying
I
it
liked
out.
it. I liked our fun facts.
Did you? You were kind of quiet though.
Well, I didn't know if I really bought into it. Now I'm looking forward. I find myself looking
So
forward.
you
yearning.
fear change. You do not like change. Now that it's
right.
no longer new. Oh, this
Once
is
it
something
happens,
I want to do.
That's what I did with sex. That's why I was a virgin until 30. I was afraid until then.
But you got married at 21.
Well, and then I got raped once, and then it's been no holding back ever
Okay,
since.
we're not going to make a joke about that. And I'm sorry that happened. Here are some fun facts. I did do a few, and I think you might like them. Sylvester Stallone wrote Rocky in 3.5 days, and it only took 28 days to film it.
The movie?
The movie.
28
right.
days?
A year prior, he had $106 in the bank and a dog he couldn't afford to feed.
That
Talk
poor
about
dog.
a turnaround.
Did he kill the dog?
So he had
He ate him
$106. Why wasn't he buying dog food?
Well, yeah, I know. It's just one of the fun. These are one of the fun facts I found.
That was back in 1970.
6?
19, yeah, in the
74.
late 70s, I think.
Yeah.
Well, he had to pitch it for a little while.
Yeah. I was 3. You weren't even born yet.
Yeah, right. You were born in 59, and I know that for a fact.
I was shitting diapers somewhere in the 70s.
Here's one. Do you hear the pounding?
Yes, I do.
They're going around too.
I thought it was your neighbor.
NASA wants to do a deep probe of Uranus in 5 to 10 years.
Yeah, why didn't you say that till last? That's the best one.
True story, though. They're going up there, so to speak.
It won't take 5 or 10 years.
That's a dark planet, though, right?
Okay, the expiration date.
Hey, are you listening?
It's a dark planet. I don't know. You know what? They don't know that much about Uranus.
Well, because I said
Somebody
I
does.
keep it pretty private. It's an exit only.
There we go. The expiration date on bottled water is actually for the bottle and not the water.
That's pretty well known.
I didn't know that.
So the water's got unlimited shelf life?
Apparently, water never leaves the planet. We have the same
kidding.
amount of water now that we had when Jesus was here.
Well, you have to because it's all atmospheric.
It's a closed
and
system.
it's
So why do we
circular.
have shortages? Where are the shortages coming
Too
from?
many people drinking it?
Yeah, but if it just goes right back out of them and it gets filtered through the earth,
When too many people drink it, it becomes
Through Gaia.
dirty water.
there's
And that
brown water and
yellow
gray water.
water is not good.
That's a whole different podcast.
All right, here's one for our friends in Portland. Highly intelligent people are more likely to be messy, stay up late, and curse.
And
Fuck that.
I'm son of a bitch.
Bullshit.
I'm 1 out of 3 there. That doesn't
You don't
bode well.
curse?
That's about all I do.
And you're right about so some not so highly intelligent people have some of those issues, just not all 3 of them.
I
so
have-
nice call on
well,
yourself
I don't
there.
stay up
You know
late.
what? I have seen that people who swear a lot tend to be more honest.
And they also are able to let their feelings go and get people's attention, I think.
I know I get over shit a lot quicker than my wife does. Boy, howdy.
Listen, we're not going to say a word.
That too is another podcast.
It's still personal journal category, though.
All right, here we go. You're a history teacher,
Yeah.
and Alani, you took history
I did.
in high school.
And you have lived history.
And I'm historic. At George Washington's 1787 birthday party, attendees consumed 60 bottles of claret, 54 bottles of Madeira, 22 bottles of porter, 8 bottles of whiskey, 8 bottles of hard cider, and 7 bottles of alcoholic punch.
Wow.
I think they exceeded the 1 drink per hour rule.
Well, really? There were only 55 people at the party.
No wonder he didn't have a
This
tooth.
was a big deal. This is like one of our pub scoots. I mean,
It kind of is.
yeah. Yeah, unbelievable. So congratulations,
Yeah,
George
had that in
Washington.
him.
Now, let's also add that George Washington died in 1799 after doctors drained nearly 40% of his blood in an attempt to cure a sore throat, which is from snorting all the lines. It drips down your sinus passages, makes it all numb down there, and bleeds you out.
Yeah.
So they drained some blood out, and they killed him.
Jorge Washington.
How old was he?
He had a good run.
History teacher. How old was he when he
was
died?
70-something, I believe.
Was
Yeah,
he?
he
That's
was
pretty
old.
good.
Yeah.
So here's to George.
got to be time for a segment change.
Time is it?
So what happens after fun facts? Now, this is new to you, Mark. It's an all-new thing, but what?
I'm able to...
I don't know what happens.
It's time for...
I don't know. I
Come
don't
on,
know.
come on.
What is it time for? Scooter News. We did it all separately.
What do we have this week?
Okay, so this is from A Ride Apart, which is a blog online and probably a whole bunch of other things. This just came out, and I think it's experimental, maybe not, but the headline of this Ride Apart thing is at least no one's going to be taking one of these on the freeway.
Or stealing them. I think they're pretty safe.
Okay, I'm just going to tell you what it is first. You hear the pounding going on again over there?
Yeah.
When do you think he'll be finished?
I don't know, but there's a lot of girls walking out with both legs.
When his wife falls asleep.
No, they're construction guys. They're just dudes. Okay, when you think of sitting in a seat, it's not usually the one on your bike or sinking into a seat. It's a sofa or a couch or maybe a comfy chair. Usually you sit down on it or in it because you don't plan on going anywhere, at least for a little while. And how would you feel about riding on a soft, squishy scooter as a last-minute transportation solution?
Would this be considered soft mobility?
It could be. A group of students from the University of Tokyo developed a concept they're calling, yes, say it again, Mark.
Since you're not reading ahead, apparently.
Well, I can't. I'm reading and speaking.
Soft mobility.
It's a series of sewn or glued together rideable inflatable vehicles in different shapes, including a scooter called Poimo.
Okay, well,
It doesn't sound like Japanese.
If you look at the correct pronunciation.
I just did it in a Japanese accent.
No,
You
you
didn't hear? Poimo.
Hey, just because you clinch your eyes does not mean it's a Japanese.
Okay,
accent.
short.
There's no P in Japan.
Okay, Oimo.
Oh,
Short for portable and inflatable mobility. It's a bit like a softer, squishier, lighter, and more portable motocompo. Tell us what that is.
Looking at the picture, it looks like a piece of shit.
Yeah, I would fail those
Translation.
students. I'm not buying this piece of shit at all.
It looks like one of those little fake horse. You're better off taking a broom handle, putting a horse head on it, and run around.
Okay,
Just to pretend.
maybe
This
you
is
can
not a
use.
ride.
They could really use a small vehicle to help you get around college campus or other small area.
Nope.
Where walking isn't. You can put it in a backpack, and then you pump it up and you ride. It's only 12 pounds.
That's stupid.
No, I watched the video. They wrote it.
And how fast were they
it looked
going?
like they were going very slowly.
Yep.
It's made of TPU or thermoplastic polyurethane.
I knew that.
Yeah, it's an idea that you take a folded scoot out of your bag, then inflate it to the recommended pressure, and then
How
you're
long
able
do
to,
they have to blow?
then you're able to go wherever you want to go. At which point you can deflate, refold, and stash away inside your bag.
You know
again.
what? You could either have that in your backpack or an inflatable woman. What's your choice?
Well, you can ride both of them.
I'm sure based on the picture, they'll last about as long.
Okay, it's just one of the designs.
Okay, you know what?
that-
Abort this scooter news. I don't like this.
because you don't like it doesn't mean people listening won't like it.
You know what?
But show the
I'm
picture.
with-
Put the
I'm-
picture
I'm
up
with
on your
Scout.
Put your picture up there of this thing, and I guarantee you, people will. This is hideous.
It's
Well,
lame.
the video has a hot girl riding it.
Okay.
Okay, it's a one-off created as proof of concept and was tested and developed to be stable and usable for riders around 176 pounds. It's also just one of the designs they came up with. They've also envisioned other electric and rideable inflatables, including a wheelchair. So the design website, Dezeen, D-E-Z-E-E-N, mentioned that Poimo's creators took inspiration from the character Baymax from Disney's Big Hero 6. And the math checks out.
Well, who wouldn't want Baymax to head to class?
I
So
know.
that's what attracted you, because they have an inflatable wheelchair.
With diaper, with a pair of Depends right there in the seat.
Oh, you know what? I think it's really cool that that students are putting this kind of stuff together. That includes a scooter that goes in that bag that you blow up.
How fast does it go?
It goes 12.
Yeah, I think you can walk.
Well,
that.
you're on campus.
By the time you blow this damn thing
cannot-
up, you're curled over on the ground.
It's got its own pump.
Oh, hello.
Okay, moving on.
Okay, what happens after scooter news?
I don't know. We just need to get out of here.
Okay, okay, it's time for spooky news. All right, this is a little more serious. This is a headline I found today on oddity.com.
This is serious.
Man dating a ghost fears she's cheating on him by boinking other men during lockdown. This is COVID related, and this is from the Daily Star Online.
Wow. You don't hear that every day.
Well, I think that women cheat. I think it's just the way it is when you're in lockdown.
With ghosts?
Oh, ghost women's what I meant.
Oh, right.
So Gary DeNoia, 36, says he's from New Jersey, but he says he's been in a relationship with a ghost for over 2 years. He says, while things were great at first, now they're facing some trouble. The coronavirus pandemic has wreaked havoc in relationships, and while the outbreak has been a blessing for some couples, others are facing their biggest challenges yet, including Gary from New Jersey.
Poor Gary. What's his problem?
Well, Lisa, who is the ghost, he feels she's been cheating on him. I
suppose the lockdown doesn't apply to her.
Well, he says the relationship is on the rocks due to fears his ghostly girlfriend is cheating. In an exclusive interview, the unemployed American opened up about his troubles.
There's a shocker.
Yeah, for the first month in lockdown, Gary said he was inseparable from Lisa, and he enjoyed plenty of sex with the ghoul, as they had bags of time to spend together.
You sure that wasn't mushrooms?
He said, at first we spent every day together for a month. Jersey City was an epicenter early during the coronavirus.
There goes your smell.
And where was I?
Right here. Down, lower.
Anyway.
Right there.
Anyway.
He said at first we spent every day together for a month. Jersey City was the epicenter, blah, blah, blah. And by nature, I'm a very anxious person. On top of not being able to see my family or nieces, I was feeling very afraid. I'm usually the strong one in the relationship, but I was just too overwhelmed to hold it together. In that month, Lisa was my rock.
Any idea the age of this guy?
36.
Oh, shit.
I think this was a Dear Abby column or some bullshit.
She'd help me cook and fold laundry, watch loads of TV, and obviously have sex all the time. Know? It was fun, but it was exhausting.
Does he know if he just opens the door from the basement, he'll be with his mom? Because he's living in the basement right now?
He says, I'm not in great shape, so it was hard to keep up. Being on a strict lockdown, we had to find creative ways to be sexually adventurous.
Well,
I mean, when we're the ghost, I think you can do just about any position.
He is a strong man.
The couple weren't just getting naughty under the sheets, Gary said, as he shared an intimate moment with Lisa on the roof of the building. So it was up
Where
there.
Did you find this again?
I told you. It was on the Daily Star Online.
The fact that you actually have the article here and did not make this up blows my mind.
On another occasion, they apparently had sex on a pizza counter. But that's all changed now. Because, for the loved up fair.
Because the governor says they can't have pizza.
No, Lisa has broken lockdown rules, and the loved up bloke worries she's been visiting other men while he's cooped up at home. She can go anywhere. He can't.
I wonder what her
She's
type
not contagious.
Is she going after the same type? Has he talked to her about this?
Well, he's out of shape and he's a little bit anxious.
Because that would be easy to go get.
That's just about every white guy out there.
It's the people not moving.
Okay, he says this past month she's been out all the time. Never tells me where she's going, just says she's going out with friends.
It sounds like this guy
Sounds
needs
like a
to go to
dating app.
therapy.
And he says she could be anywhere with anyone, and I've always felt secure in our relationship, but lately we haven't been having much sex. I'm worried she's cheating on me. She says I'm being paranoid. I mean, I'm not crazy, am I? That's what he says. It just doesn't make any sense.
Don't answer that.
I can understand wanting space, but something just feels off here.
It's probably because he's left-handed.
Gary is unable also to talk to his parents and his sister about it. He explained they're just too stressed out about other things. So growing up in an Italian-American culture, I was raised not to burden people with my problems. But occasionally I FaceTime with my best friend Chris, and he thinks cabin fever is making me paranoid. He said it's obvious how much Lisa loves me. Everyone can see it. But things are rocky for the first time ever. Gary added, it's possible it's all in my mind and I'm overthinking it.
Okay, can you get an interview with
Isolation
this guy?
is taking its toll.
Can we get Gary on the phone?
You know what? Let's try. We have his name. We know where he lives.
Yeah.
Let's do
Trenton,
it.
New Jersey. Hello, Gary.
Welcome to the boardwalk.
I'll tell you what, we talked about a woman that had a ghost for a boyfriend. Maybe this
Yeah.
is real. Maybe this is really happening.
Well, it's not the first story we've had like this.
It isn't. So there you go with a little bit of spooky.
That's funny.
All right, I'm sorry.
That's what they shut these people down. I hear that when people listen to the podcast.
You do?
Yeah, I think they're laughing at us.
Well, hey.
We've been up to some other things, though, not just you indulging your own personal fantasies.
That wasn't, I mean, Gary isn't even attractive to me. But we are excited to share our conversation with trophy wife Monique and the Golden Greek, Alex Arion. They're married hosts of the popular and unique Homewrecker Podcast. And because they're thinking of buying a couple of Vespas, they've had paranormal experiences. They've been to a bar. We were just going to have to go down the proverbial paranormal highway with them and discuss everything under this rainy sky from Washington State to New Hampshire. So here's Coach and I spending a few minutes.
It's a common thread.
With the Homewrecker Podcast. All right, so we're getting to know Alex and Monique from the Homewrecker Podcast. And
Hi.
Yeah, welcome. So before we get started, you guys are prolific. Man, you've knocked out a lot of podcasts in 1 year. I can't believe it.
Yeah.
We're 3 years into it, and you've got 65, 70, 100 with your bonus stuff.
Yeah.
A lot. And
Well, we like to use it. We just wanted to do something to talk to each other because we have 3 kids. So I walk through the door and the kids are like, blah, blah, we can't get 2 words in. So when they nap or they go to bed, we're like, we're just going to talk to each other and make a podcast.
that is so cool. Sorry,
So you guys got started this just to hang out and do some stuff together?
Yeah.
Pretty much. I mean, I've always listened to podcasts for years. I mean, geez. Yeah, for years, for a long time. Big podcast listener. So I always wanted to do one, but I didn't know what I wanted to talk about. And we always just have conversations talking about just random stuff like paranormal stuff, conspiracy theories. And so I'm like, why don't we just do our own podcast? Why don't we just, the stuff we talk about just randomly, let's just do a podcast. Why not?
We talked about it for 3 years and we finally did it.
Yeah. So
it's a big step to put yourself out there like that.
It is, but I guess for us, we looked at it like, if other people listen to us, that's awesome. But if not, we're kind of doing it for us first. But we've actually, we're surprised by how many listeners we got from all over the world. So I'm sure you guys, too, you see that and you're like, oh my gosh, I've never heard of this country. And they listen to us. That's awesome.
It really is. Who's hosting your platform? Is it Libsyn or who do you run through?
Podbean.
Podbean.
Yeah.
So a couple of things we got to get out of the way because they're kind of a ongoing meme on your show. That is the trophy wife thing, right? And
That's right.
And the name of your podcast, Homewrecker. So we have to ask, are those connected on some level?
No.
So, go ahead.
Okay.
Explain.
So I'm kind of vain in the sense of I'm really self-conscious and I always want to look pretty. And my husband, he was a professional wrestler. We met in wrestling. And
Okay, we'll talk about that in a few seconds. But
yeah. And so I was like, I always look at it I always want to look as good as I can because I want other women, when they see my husband and they're attracted to him, I want them to see me and think, I can't compete with that. So I was like, I need to be the trophy wife.
Good for both of you, actually.
So when we started working together in wrestling and I was his valet, we just I'll just be the trophy wife. And then we carried that over into the podcast. It's kind of like it was a thing we did before it became a wrestling thing.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. Well, I thought there might be a little subtler story that came through, but that's a great one. And it's been working out for quite some time. Now you're the Golden Greek.
That's me.
Man,
yes, sir.
You're a real guy.
I am. I'm real.
I mean, let's take just a couple of minutes and let's highlight your wrestling career because you're doing some reffing now. I saw that. And from one wrestler to another, I was a D1 college wrestler.
Don't get him started.
There we go.
You'd probably kick my ass then, because what I did was performance. It wasn't feel. Yeah, no, I started wrestling back in 1996, and I think I had my last match 2016, right?
Yeah, I was pregnant with our second son.
Yeah, so
20
I wrestled for about years. Yeah.
How far along were you? Because there was some wrestling going on there too.
Yeah.
That had to go all the way to New Hampshire.
Yeah.
Wait a second.
Tremendous.
We started partying a little
There
early.
you go. Good for you.
No, because his last match, he stopped when I became pregnant. We had this angle, it was this long-standing rivalry with this other couple, and we were supposed to have a mixed tag match, and then it was during 1 month we had the match, and the next morning I randomly took a test and found I was pregnant. So the following month was supposed to be this big match, and I couldn't wrestle.
Oh my gosh.
So they had to get somebody else in, and that was his last match until 2016, where he came in to wrestle a friend of ours, Brian Fury, for his farewell retirement last match, which turned out to be not his last match. Typical in wrestling.
Yeah, it's a very cool thing, and congratulations on that side of it, because I started listening to some of your stuff before I realized you were the Golden Greek.
All right.
There was a previous Golden Greek though back in the day too, right? Was there any connection or?
Well, no, it was. I'm Greek. I needed some kind of a wrestling name, and that was just kind of something. Honestly, on the way to my first wrestling match, I didn't have a name yet, and that was just kind of my buddy that I was riding to the show with was like, "Why don't you just be the Golden Greek? You're Greek. Just be Greek." All right, and that was it. And it just stopped. So that was it.
And so you both seem to have an interest in the paranormal and cryptids and all the different things that are out there.
Yeah.
Monique, you are also an empath, I read.
Yeah, I'm an intuitive empath. I don't like to throw the word psychic around because I can't really control it. I feel things, I see things. I read tarot, and ever since I was a little girl, I've seen things, and I would talk to trees and they talk back to me, and like trees and rocks are my friends. But being an empath, it's one of those things where it can be really hard because sometimes you kind of take on the emotion of what's going on. So you're totally fine. And then you're talking to somebody and all of a sudden you're so angry and you're like, why am I so mad? I don't know. And then like they go away and you're like, no, I'm fine. What the hell is that? And it's just, it's like a whirlwind getting caught up in other people's emotions. And it took a really long time to work on that. A lot of empaths get stuck in abusive relationships, and I was one of them. So kind of going through like my 20s and like late teens, early 20s, and being in abusive relationships, because like I'm at a very high vibration, and that attracts, like they call them energy vampires, people of low vibration. It's like, poltergeist, where like they want to be near the light. That's what it's like. Like you're this bright shining light and they're a moth and they're attracted to it, but they just want to suck your energy. And so it gets
like
really draining. Oh. But it gets draining. And so like I had to kind of build a wall and protect myself. And it wasn't until Alex and I were together for so many years where I was finally like, okay, I can let this wall down. And I started reading tarot again, started meditating again. And we did a paranormal investigation recently, and we were talking to ghosts, and it was really fun.
She was talking to ghosts. I can't talk to ghosts.
Yeah, and I was going to ask you about that, because on one of your podcasts, you talked about at the end of February, you were going to go to a lodge of some sort. And
Yeah.
And how'd that go? I mean, just real quick. I mean, because we're talking about you, not about that lodge. But was it a really cool thing?
It was so cool. We used dowsing rods mostly. That's what we got the most interaction with. But there was one moment we're talking to one of the ghosts there, Fred, and I brought up his wife. And I get chills just thinking about it. I'm getting really emotional thinking about it because that feeling keeps coming back to me. It was this overwhelming, I can't even explain it. The feeling, it's like I got like just slammed with it, like as if like he just smashed his emotions into me. And it's like this feeling like happy but sad and like missing, like longing, and just it was like trying not, like I was like trying to compose myself, like he's filming and I'm just like, okay, don't be an emotional wreck, and you know, but it was like I felt things, and it was incredible, and I feel so blessed that the spirits there were so open to us.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, because I listened to that and I was thinking, oh shoot, I didn't ever hear the one where you actually were there. Were you able to do the podcast from there?
Yeah.
Okay.
We did.
What's it called? Because I scanned through them.
I think it was like the Chapman Inn investigation.
Yeah, Chapman Inn investigation, I think.
Yeah, because we broke it up. We did like a live part on social media, and then we shut that off after like 20 minutes, and then we just went into our full recording. So the actual episode has like everything, like the recording, and then we released on YouTube.
YouTube.
Yeah, on YouTube we released the actual like scenes of our investigation.
Wow. Okay, I'll take a listen.
Can I ask a serious question?
Oh, Mark has a question.
You guys probably too young, but a show I remember as a child that the trees talked was HR Puffin Stuff. Did that inspire you at
I
all?
used to watch that.
Yeah, did that inspire you at all, or do you have any connection with HR Puffin Stuff?
No, so when I was a kid, I loved like shows my parents grew up on, and like Sid and Marty Krofft.
Yes, the Krofft brothers.
Yeah, I like Sigmund and the Sea Monsters, but I
was good
watched
too.
a few episodes. Yeah, I watched a few episodes of HR Puffin Stuff, but man, I haven't watched that since I was a kid.
Well, when you said you talked to trees, that was the first thing that came to my mind.
But I talked to trees like before I ever watched that too. I lived out in a town called Drake at Mass, like out in the middle of nowhere, lots of farms, and we lived on an acre of land, and we had woods around us. And yeah, and even my mom says you used to like just talk to whatever was out there. So apparently I was talking to, like, I think there's energy and everything, and I was able to kind of pick up on the energy and connect to it.
So this is why you and Mark get along.
Yes.
It's the energy.
I'm slightly empathic, but I'm not to that degree. But I did read a book that helped me deal with that energy I was absorbing, and it was by Pat Longo, who lives up in Long Island, and she was one of the trainers of the Long Island psychic, whatever her name is.
Yeah.
And she had a really great quick meditation that helps you shield yourself from all the energy coming in, and it's worked fabulous for me.
You sure it wasn't the chili?
It wasn't the chili, no. But I would recommend that.
Yeah, oh, definitely. Thank you. Because I've read a few books. Like, my big thing is, like, I never want to hurt anyone's feelings. And I'm always putting myself in the shoes of others. And I hate saying no to people. And I always want to do as much as I can for everybody. And then you realize, like, it's exhausting. And most people wouldn't do it back for you. And so it's like learning how to, like, you know, say no and kind of, like, I guess, like, not be taken advantage of. Yeah. So I've been working on that. I think I'm doing better.
You get better.
Yeah,
for sure.
Well, you guys have a fun way you play off each other in your podcast, and that's kind of. And I noticed, Alex, that you sometimes just let her go and then say, "Okay, are you done? Are you done now?"
Yeah.
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 So how did? So were you both previously involved or curious about the paranormal before you got to know each other, or was that something that Alex you developed getting to know her? Or
no, I mean I got into all that stuff. Geez, I was maybe 7, 8 years old, going to the library as a kid, and just I happened to find a book about the Loch Ness Monster.
Oh.
And so it caught my interest and, you know, caught my imagination. And then I started to read about UFOs and Bigfoot, and I've always been fascinated with that stuff. And, you know, to different degrees of excitement, you know, like sometimes I'll get so excited and just think of all the different possibilities. And then other times, like the skeptical side of me will take over and be like, okay, some of this is nonsense. There's no way this is real. So I kind of like teeter-totter and go back and forth, but I've never lost interest. I've always been fascinated by it and the possibility of it being real. But yeah, just since I was like 8 years old probably. So yeah, going on 30 plus years.
Mine sort of, same thing. I was always interested when I was very young, and then my kids started really growing up and kind of going off to college, and all of a sudden I just had this moment like, wait a minute, there's a whole piece of the world that I forgot about that I need to get back into and start learning about, and that was the genesis for my. It gave me a reason to ride my scooter and have cocktails in bars, but it was also, we collect ghost stories. We don't actually do many ghost hunts. We've done a couple, but what was the first paranormal experience, real one that not real one, but physical one that you've experienced?
So it's all been fake?
No, but I mean, sometimes you have one. Stop. He's our skeptic in the group here. So I guess I'll start with you, Alex. Have you had one full front face scary moment?
Yeah. It ties into pro wrestling. When I was going to get trained to be a pro wrestler, the school that I was staying at was in Lima, Ohio, and it was in an old Masonic lodge. That's where so he set up a wrestling ring in the Masonic temple, and then had like the lodge rooms were set up, with beds and closets and stuff so people could live there and stay there. And you always had a weird feeling. It was myself and 4 other guys were staying there and training in this class. And you always had this feeling like somebody was watching you. And it wasn't just me. It was like everybody. We'd always talk about it. Like we didn't want to go, down the hall by ourselves because it was really dark in there. You always just had this weird, creepy feeling. And on the last night of our class, when we were all getting ready to leave and go back to our homes, back to, like I said, I'm from New Hampshire and this was in Ohio. So the very last night we all got together, a bunch of us, and a bunch of the local wrestlers came in, and we were all just hanging out, drinking beers, having fun, celebrating. And the lights just all went out in the place. We're all sitting in the wrestling ring and the lights all just went out. It was like a laser pointer. It seemed like a laser pointer was like, I don't know how to explain it. It was just like kind of racing around everywhere and like racing like all around the building, right?
Wow.
And so we're all like, hey, who's got the laser pointer? Who's being the asshole? Can I swear on this?
Yes.
Sorry.
Well,
for fuck's sake, you can.
I was thinking maybe it was somebody's penis. Just kind of.
Yeah, we're like you're good. I notice you guys are really good on yours, but
the lights come back on and we look around and everybody, we're like, okay, who shut the lights off? Everybody's in the wrestling ring. Okay. So it wasn't anybody here. Like it's somebody else here. Like who turned the lights off? And then we hear these footsteps above us. Now, the only thing above us is it's a Masonic temple. So the roof itself is gravel and there's probably like a foot of cement. It's not like you could hear footsteps if somebody was above us on the roof. So it was like footsteps above us, but there's no way we could have heard it. You know what I mean? Like if there was a physical person there. So it was almost like somebody was running on the ceiling above us. And we're all looking up like, what is going on? And all of us just kind of got like this shivery cold feeling. We were all like, something weird's happening, And the lights went out again, and again with this red light, like a laser pointer. And we're like, okay, who's got the fucking laser pointer?
Right.
And the lights come back on, and we're all just looking around at each other like, we're all still here. Nobody's got anything. Nobody's got a laser pointer. It was just the weirdest thing.
Wow.
And we actually, I apologize. There was something that happened right before then too. About a week before then, we're all sitting in the ring. We're wrestling. We're going over some of the stuff that we learned, and we look up and there was like a balcony of seats, and there was a family just appeared up in the balcony. It was like a mom, a dad, and 2 kids just sitting there watching us. The only way you could get into this area that we were at was through an elevator because there was a bunch of fire codes being violated here, but the only way you could get in was through an elevator. The fire escape was on the side of the building was broken, so you couldn't get up it or anything. We were on the 4th floor of this building, and the elevator never opened, but there's this family just sitting there. So we're like, how did this family get up there? So our trainer stops us, looks up and says, can I help you? They didn't say anything. They didn't move. There was 6 of us in the ring. We're all looking up. We all saw them. And then he's like, all right, guys, just get back to doing what you were doing. And then they were gone. They just vanished.
Wow.
So we all saw this family. They looked like they were wearing contemporary clothing for the time. This was back in 96. We don't know how they got up there. We don't know if they were real people. We don't know. Like we still don't know. We all just thought it was kind of strange. So that was my first like really weird paranormal thing in that building. But then the big one was when, like I said, there was a mess of us in the ring that last night where the lights went out. We're hearing footsteps above us. There's like a red light shining around, and that was my first real weird experience.
That's a big one too, man.
That would do it.
I mean, physical, where the lights go out, and then or like an orb, like a red orb moving around or something like that. Or?
Yeah. I guess that's probably the best way of describing it, like a red orb. It was really weird, and it was just, I don't know, the vibe in that place was just really weird. Like I said, old Masonic temple, the rooms where we were set up with our beds and closets and stuff. On the other side of that was a locked door. On the last day, I went into I broke the lock and went in because I'm like, what's in here? Like, so I broke the lock and busted in there. And I know.
You're never supposed to do that.
Has the statute of limitations run out?
Last millennium, you're fine.
The door's locked for a reason, Alex.
Now I know that. But it was just all how do you, what
like
do they call it? Like the robes. Yeah, they were like glass cases that were broken glass, and in them were these black robes. So I'm assuming it must have been like from the old Masonic Lodge or something. Just all their stuff was still in there. Just really creepy.
Yeah,
like I said, always creeped out in that building.
Wow. So, and it's in Minnesota, and it was in Iowa too, which is
Ohio.
Ohio. Lima, Ohio. Yeah. It was about an hour north of Dayton.
Well, what I meant was Ohio is a really creepy state.
I actually listen. My partner does not listen.
Monique, how about you? Do you have a life-changing story like that?
I think the trees say it all.
They said it all.
My house, I believe, was haunted, but. So one of the things we talked about on an episode was when I was using a Ouija board, and because it's a toy, right?
Oh man!
As a child, they don't teach you about when you open a portal, you have to close it as well. And I used it quite often, and then I started having things happen at home when you feel like you're not alone. Or you hear something, and like I always felt like somebody else was there, and it was never a bad feeling. Sometimes it would kind of piss me off. I'd be sitting on the couch, and we'd have, the ceiling fans. It would just be spinning, and then would just randomly stop. I'm home alone.
Wow.
And I knew it was a ghost, and I'd look and be like, cut the shit, and it would start going again.
Wow.
And then it would stop and start going backwards. I'd like knock it off. And it would just stop and go back normal. And like, I would kind of like smack talk it a little bit because I was like, you're pissing me off.
Yeah.
But I felt comfortable with it. And I joke around too. I think it was a guy, that was the feeling I got. But I never felt like I was in trouble. But I actually, the first time I saw a ghost was when I lived in Providence, Rhode Island. And the apartment I lived in was haunted. And I had an experience where I was home alone, and I would always talk to the ghost because I was home alone a lot. And I was lonely. I had moved there, and I didn't really know many people. And I just see, like, in the corner of the living room, it was like this silvery, whitish, almost like a little bit of blue tint to it, like this weird, kind of like a cloud or something. And it just started floating from like the corner of the living room, kind of in front of me against the wall along the ceiling. And I'm just like, hi, I'm watching 16 Candles. Do you want to watch it with me? Oh, nerd.
Molly Ringwald.
Yeah, I was just like, be my friend. But then one night I was sleeping, and I was with my boyfriend at the time. We slept with the door closed, and I had a pet iguana, and she had like the red heat lamp, so there's a little bit of light. And I felt our roommate's cat, she had a black cat, Ziggy. I felt him jump on me. I could feel the paws just pushing into my chest. And I'm like waking up, I'm like, Ziggy, get off of me. And I'm trying to push him off, and I'm like, Ziggy, get off of me. And I got up, and I see him jump off of me and go under the bed. My boyfriend at the time was like, what's going on? And I'm like, Ziggy was on me. He's like, wait a minute. the door's closed. He can't be in here. And I'm like, I know what I saw. And I like turn on the light and I'm looking under the bed. There's no cat. And he's like, I saw it too.
Wow.
And so, okay. So I get up and I go outside. Cat's asleep in the living room. The door was closed. There's no way he could get in. And my roommate was like, he's done stuff like that before. The ghost, when he's curious, he'll change into something that you're familiar with so you're not afraid. And I was like, I guess I appreciate that than waking up with some like dead dude like right above my face.
Hey, TW, what did you smoke that night though before you went to bed?
I am high on life.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, that's a great story. Actually, they're both great stories. And the thing is, I initially thought that you were the paranormal person
You're
of
pointing.
the couple. I'm pointing at you, and I'm pointing at Monique. And then all of a sudden, I realized, wait a minute, it sounds like Alex doing the research. He's reading the books, and then you give a little bit of the feedback on what he's been reading about.
Yeah, I mean, some things we'll read together. We've actually had books where we have two bookmarkers so we can keep track of each other's pace. And sometimes he'll read one book on something, I'll read another, or we'll watch documentaries together. So it kind of depends on who's more interested in it. Some things I'm like, oh, I want to do more research on it. Yeah. So, but I used to hate reading. And it wasn't until recently where I started reading again.
Oh, good for you. Well, good for you, because I'm a big reader, and you are.
I'm a reader. I've become a reader.
You're a nonfiction reader too, which is
I deal
good.
with your brother's book. I read your brother's books.
So, all right, guys.
Wait, I've got two questions.
He's got two questions.
Okay, so Alex, Gigi, Golden Greek.
Yes.
Who else in the wrestling world is into the paranormal that you could share with us, if anybody?
There's a bunch.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's a bunch of people that are, I mean, a couple of my friends are, like Brian Malonis is.
Ring of Honor.
I'm trying to remember, like, so many. I don't know if anybody would be upset with me to tell them.
Well, you don't have to worry about Arion. Nobody listens.
Yeah, you're fine.
I know, like, Chris Jericho is a big name you guys might know. He is Dean Ambrose, John Moxley. He's a big paranormal conspiracy guy. There's a bunch of guys.
Okay, you better stop there, because Mark will actually probably call these people and try to hook up with them.
Right, fair enough. All right, done.
And my second question is, how do you end up in New Hampshire? You're
taking my question.
I'm sorry. You're the first people I've ever met or talked to from New Hampshire.
I was born here.
Oh.
So I was born here. She was born in Massachusetts. Yeah, I was born here. I was born here. I stayed here till I was 18. Then I moved to Ohio to do the wrestling training thing. And then I lived in Tennessee for a while, in Memphis wrestling. I lived in Puerto Rico for a while for wrestling. But then I just came back home because I like it here. So that's how, I was just born here. It's where I'm from. So
yeah, that's cool.
It is. And I read the book Hotel New Hampshire.
There you go.
Right.
It was a famous book. Same guy that did GARP, The World According to GARP.
Yeah, that's another great one. Just kidding.
I will say, we stayed at, what was the hotel? It's now Omni Resort.
Where?
Mount Washington Hotel.
Oh, yeah. John Keel.
That was disappointing.
Oh,
We
no.
were hoping to have some experiences.
Yeah,
Nothing happened paranormally. But, yeah.
But Alex stepped up.
Alex Drake's hotel experience, but not because of anything paranormal, yeah.
Well, it was kind of paranormal. It was out of this world.
Well, now. So we wanted to ask you, so you're in Washington.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, boy, here we go.
Yeah, it's a big deal, and it's a real thing. It is a real thing.
For some people.
For everybody that understands.
Well, we've heard of it, but go ahead, tell your story.
Which one?
The one you've made up before.
No, I've never.
All right, you got me. Now let's hear it.
I don't really have a story. I've collected some stories from people. My sister experience
No,
she saw.
your walk across the trail with the girl and
Yeah, but that wasn't a Sasquatch. That was a full
that was
apparition.
a boner. That was a boner.
No, it wasn't. No. So, in this area, but it's really all across the United States. People have sightings and all kinds of experiences with Sasquatch. And
this is a hotbed.
This is a hotbed. But my sister lived or was house sitting up in not far away, maybe 30, 40 miles from where we are right now, and was driving in the driveway, which was a ranch farm style place. So it had like a quarter mile or longer driveway going in, and she's just driving along. There's a fence along both sides. She's walking along, and there's this.
You said she was driving. Is she walking or driving?
She was driving. There was this person walking along, and all of a sudden she realized, and my sister, who appreciates a fine man, said, "And you should have seen the muscles." And he was walking along, and all of a sudden he just went over the fence and kept going. And she said it was a fully haired, tall, muscly man, and went through, and she actually was on one of the TV shows. They interviewed her and did a big deal. But we did a podcast and collected 2 or 3 stories from people that around here, and we were in Tennessee. Actually, we were in Nashville, and there was a chef at a restaurant we were at there that we were talking to, and he was from Seattle, and he had a full-blown experience as well, looking out his window before they developed this big piece of property, and saw Sasquatch leap over a fence and run through the yards and head out. But
did he have beef jerky with him?
No,
It wasn't pretty popular.
No.
Well, we've been watching a lot. There are more documentaries coming out about Sasquatch, and actually we just recorded an episode about it again, and it's just so interesting. And I feel like every time you think you somehow get a grasp on what is going on and why you can't really find them, but yet so many people hear them or maybe see them a little bit, it's like your mind changes because something else comes out with information and other stories come out. It's so fascinating.
What's your dented sign story that was on an actual?
Well, that was in
show?
the neighborhood we grew up, but
That's what I'm talking about.
It's one of the most famous
I thought
Sasquatch
that's
stories.
The story you were going to tell.
No, it wasn't. But anyway, where I grew up on a hill just at 5 miles to where he lives, there was a classic Fife Heights story where the Sasquatch went in front of a car, grabbed a street sign as it went down a bluff, and bent it all the way over, and they came in. If you go on and do the Fife Heights Sasquatch sighting, you'll see the street sign, and that was like 1,000 feet away from my house.
Well, that was the 70s, right?
It was in the 70s.
And you were in the woods there with a little.
Yeah, I was very
smile?
strong, and I could reach up 8 feet and bend a sign. So,
wow. I saw a video, was it in Canada, where these loggers or something, and you see what looks like Sasquatch picking up like a tree and throwing it like it's a football.
Yeah.
Okay,
And
can I make a reference here? You sure that wasn't? Can I make a reference? You sure that wasn't the $6 million man?
no, that wasn't the 70s. Now you're really going back in time. Anyway, so we have the Sasquatch thing going on out here, and but it's everywhere. Have you watched that Expedition Sasquatch? That's 7 part. Yeah. They thought they got some pretty good stuff.
Yeah.
Set it up for another season.
Yeah. I mean, that's the Sasquatch thing. Like for me, what I think is so fascinating with it is that we still don't have one. It hasn't been confirmed as a legitimate living creature or species, whatever you want to call it. But I was looking this up the other day after we watched some of these Bigfoot documentaries, and I didn't know that we didn't discover the gorilla until 1902.
I know, I saw that too. Isn't that but it was fake until then.
Right. So it's kind of like one of those things like, all right, this makes me think, all right, maybe, if we didn't even discover the freaking gorilla until 1902, what else haven't we discovered? What else is out there that we still haven't found?
And they're finding new species almost every day.
So this is what Corona is all about.
Yeah, and the Corona is a new species.
2022.
Let her finish.
I just don't want the Sasquatch to be killed.
I know, and some of them say we got to kill one of them to prove to the world. And I don't agree with that either. But, there's some great video and people don't believe it. They think it's bullshit.
That's the thing,
Yeah.
because so many people, like, there are people who hoax stuff,
Yeah.
and it kind of ruins it for everybody.
Right.
Yeah, you do that. You do that.
I don't do that. Anyway, so why don't you tell us real quickly what's the best way where do you like people to listen, and what is it that how you want to direct them to social media or otherwise?
Thank you. You can find us Homewrecker Podcast. We're on iTunes, Podbean, anywhere you listen to podcasts. We're also on YouTube for Homewrecker Podcast. Twitter is at Homewrecker Pod.
Instagram
is Homewrecker Podcast. And you can also find us at homewreckerpodcast.com. We have a forum. We have a shop. You can buy shirts.
Wow.
And for myself, if you go to tarotbymonique.com, you can schedule a tarot reading, or by organite that I make, and I put shungite in all my organite.
Nice.
Anything else? Is there anything?
I think you got it all.
Got it. I
Nice.
did
Hey,
it.
Alex, before we go off, and this may not be related to the actual podcast, what got you into wrestling?
I just always I started watching wrestling when I was a kid. I was probably 6 or 7 when I first saw it. And I was just so taken in by the characters and the emotions that I felt like I hated the bad guys. I loved the good guys.
And what were you?
Growing up, I just wanted to make people feel the way I felt when I was watching it. That was it.
Okay, what were you, good guy or bad guy? And secondly, because I'm not a big time wrestler guy necessarily, but who was the first family member that you came off the top turnbuckle of the couch and attacked?
I was both. I was a good guy first, and then a bad guy.
All right.
And my younger brother. I nailed it multiple times growing up. So.
All right.
Okay, really quick. I wanted to ask you. We're looking at Vespas.
I know.
Oh, yes.
I'm looking between the Primavera or the GTS 300.
Okay.
Any recommendations?
Well, okay. I've had both. I've had a 150 and a 300 and a 250.
Well, your 150 was back when you were a lighter man.
Oh, that's hurtful. So,
I felt that pain.
yeah. So,
I call them like I see them.
are you going to be riding both of you on one Vespa?
No,
No, they're each getting their own.
Well, and are you going to be riding long distances?
Probably not. Just mostly around town.
Can you get to a bar within 10 miles or less?
Oh yeah.
Can you get to any shopping and all that 10 miles or less? Primavera, I'd just do a couple of 150s. You'd be great. And,
Alex might do
or
well on
do a
300.
300 for Alex and a 150 for you. That's what my wife had a 150, but she actually bumped up and she now has a 250 and I have a 300.
I've wanted one since I was a teenager, and I was like, I don't know why I just didn't get one. So now I'm like, I'm an adult. I can do this.
You'll have a blast, both of you. It's the funnest thing ever.
It's a low-powered joy.
There's actually a lot of ska bands that sing about scootering, and I used to listen to punk and ska. I still do, but so I'll have to send you some of the links for YouTube so you can hear the songs. So when you're scootering around, you can listen to them.
And I'd love to hear that you're a world music fan. And I one of my questions was, what kind of music do you guys listen to? But for some reason, I was thinking Alex might be kind of metal. Kind of a
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. That's my scene.
I like everything though. I love oldies. I think that's my favorite. Punk, ska, rockabilly. I was a little metalhead when I was a kid. I like everything.
Yeah,
Better.
Thank you for taking the time to do this. And I'm gonna kind of put this together, and it'll be a lot of fun.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much.
So much.
No, thank you.
And,
You guys are
we
awesome.
listen to your show, and we really like it. If you don't mind, I wanted to ask you a question. I was listening to one of your recent shows. You had a friend who's into real estate and had an estate that was haunted that he was staying at.
Just did that one,
And, yeah. And I just want to know your thoughts of, do you think if you own a haunted house, do you think you have the responsibility to tell anyone looking to buy that house that it's haunted?
We've brought that up before.
Yeah, so we've talked about it, and I think so. Yeah, I think you need to say, this is what I felt, this is what I've experienced, and in some cases it adds value, and in some cases it doesn't. In his case, they demoed that house. They got redeveloped into a whole.
Well, they're going to build up more houses.
Right, exactly. Yeah. But he's He's a very interesting guy, and it was hard, because he was on a cell phone. It was it was up in the mountains. It was hard to hear it, but he really felt a lot about what happened in that house when he was there.
Yeah, I listened to that and I'm just like, oh, this is such a good story. And I always think of that kind of stuff. Like, do you say anything? Like, I would, because that's how I am.
Yeah,
but there are people who wouldn't.
Yeah, I agree.
I was an altar boy and I felt a lot at church as a Catholic. I'm just kidding.
I'm a new Catholic. She's having fun. Anyway.
I always have fun.
Well, I was, so I'm sorry.
Yeah, but he was fine with it. So
I came out bow-legged, but with a smile.
Anyway, all right, guys. Well, hey, we have each other's cell phones, and thank you. This was really fun, and I'm gonna have fun putting this all together because it'll be great. And hey, kick ass out there if you go wrestle one more time.
All right, I will. Thank you.
And the only time once.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah. All right. We'll talk again.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right.
You guys are awesome.
See-
Hope you stay safe.
All right. You too.
Bye.
You know what? We really like these people.
Yeah, they're nice.
I like them, yes.
They've got ghost stories from. Was it Dubuque, Iowa?
Dubuque.
Dubuque. They read the book.
That Alex is lucky I wasn't part of that interview. I would have challenged him.
You want to wrestle him?
I put him in the lizard lockdown.
There we go. No, they're a lot of fun, and make sure that you subscribe to the Homewrecker Podcast at anywhere you find a podcast, including Apple Podcasts and Spotify and all the things that we're probably, they may not be as many as we are, as,
Well, we are ranked 72nd.
the 72nd.
Or number one in the world.
Personal journal. So thanks a lot, you guys, for spending some time with us, and we'll do it again. And all of you out there, let's give them a listen.
It's worth it.
Did you know Monique read tarot cards for me?
You really enjoyed that. You perked right up when
Well,
she said
she-
that.
she-
And you goes, would you read my cards?
Yeah, that was on a separate conversation,
Yeah.
not one on the recording, but pretty cool.
That was fun when we got to be on their podcast, or they
Yeah.
recorded it.
They recorded it. I doubt they'll use it.
They're probably editing the shit out of it. But
Well, we're not going to do that. We're leaving everything in there.
The fact that you're still a happy-go-lucky guy after what she read, I give you a lot of credit.
Well, if you've only got a
for
little
your
time
courage.
left, you might as well have fun with it. So did we go on any rides lately?
Only one.
oh boy,
I think there were two.
You
There were
pussies.
two.
No.
Maybe three.
Well,
I
there
went
was-
with one with Bobby Chong.
Okay, you went on a ride with other people.
I think I
and
went
then you
on
guys,
a ride with
you guys bailed on me,
with
though.
Pendamanono.
Pendamaneno?
Yeah, him.
What happened to the other ride we were going to do? Frogger?
It rained us out, dude. I was heading over. We were going to go to.
I did not
We were
get
doing a
rained on.
garage to garage to garage ride. I get in my scooter to head to your garage.
In your scooter? Must be the Matchbox.
It was pouring. I wasn't 500 yards, and I was soaking wet because I took off my apron, my Toscana Urbano.
Prematurely again?
Yes. Once again, premature. And there it was. I had to turn around, come back, jump in my electric car, and drive over to your house.
And you were late to the first garage festivity.
I was.
But I didn't get rained on the whole day.
Well, and Lonnie also drove his truck.
Well, he came from a
I
greater
did.
distance.
Yeah, I
and
came a
So you're
distance.
going to make excuses for him?
He's my friend.
But we got to go to Scout's garage, and that's a
rare
happening.
occasion.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he goes, you brought your own, right?
Everybody brings their own. BYOB.
And then from there, we went to Bobby Chong's garage and sat down there. And
Again, a rarity.
you
which
said
was
you've
Lizard's
never
first
really
visit.
been in that garage?
I have not been in that garage, and that belongs on
GreatGarage.com.
Yeah, exactly. The garage newsletter or something.
That's funny. He didn't say that about my garage.
No, he hasn't said it about mine either.
Garage magazine.
You know one thing I didn't see in his garage?
What?
A podcast studio.
That's true.
He didn't have one.
Well,
He had a Corvette, a Harley,
whatever.
3 or 4
Whatever.
scooters.
whatever. A wine cellar, whatever.
Yeah. All that other shit. But then from there we went to Keith Pendomino's.
Yep.
He was redoing his
He was in
garage.
the middle of a project.
Yeah, re-insulating and doing drywall.
Yep, finishing it up.
So he's going to have a pretty fine garage when
Yep.
he's done.
Big
and we
space.
expect to see him here shortly.
Let's hope so.
He'll be late.
Yeah,
Sorry,
he's
Keith.
already late. He goes, I'll try to be there at the beginning, but I'll be there by the end. So when he gets here, Beth will say, do you want a taco? I go, Beth. All right, so we went for some rides, but we're not really going to talk about it.
You know, no bars were open, so it was
Oh,
just
we
kinda-
came over here for one last one here in the podcast studio.
We did.
So we went to 4
And that's where you
garages.
showed off your new lighting.
New lighting, new zipper thing.
Yeah, this is beautiful.
Yeah.
We've been able to adjust to our lockdown. Just not the same, but it's nice.
Yeah, it's well, I still have dreams of our house on 5 Heights and my little garage in there. It's just my way of dealing
And
with
I have
reality.
dreams about being able to sit on a bar stool again someday when the governor grants me permission.
So here's the thing. We're going on our pub scoot in July, and we're going to the Walla Walla, Tri-Cities, Hermiston, Pendleton area of Oregon and Washington, right?
Yep.
I saw on the news that they're pretty much open over there.
Yes.
And we're 2 months, a month and a half, 2 months away. I think that we're just going to be just fine.
Unless they catch the second wave.
Yeah, I don't think that'll be till September, October. So I think we're going to be in really good shape.
I know Pendleton's a great town.
I've never been there, so I'm really looking
neither.
forward to
The rodeo. They've got
Are you
a
going to
great
do that rodeo
No,
clown thing again?
They've got a great rodeo over there.
In Hermiston?
No, in Pendleton.
Well, that'll be fun.
We're not going to.
You think it'll happen while we're there?
No.
Really? The Hermiston Rodeos in Pendleton?
So if you're a scooter rider,
You
you're a
got to ride
scooter rider and you're
something.
going to be in the Walla Walla area in July something, we're going to be over there looking for open bars.
Yeehaw!
Hey, a quick thanks to once again to the Homewrecker Podcast for joining us on this podcast called Chasing Ghosts on Scooters and Bars, and a thanks to Weeknights for the original music provided throughout this podcast. Maybe we ought to be playing some of that underlying music that you like so
Love it.
much.
Yeah. Good
Right,
stuff.
Mark?
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, look at
Can we find the right button?
I think we'll be fine.
Until then,
Oh, a little bit different change, a little softer.
I thought you
This
last
is
time
the
you
shit
told,
that put me to sleep.
this is the one that put your scooter and tipped over that we were going to talk about.
This was the reason.
Let's talk about your scooter tipping over.
It
We're going to do
survived.
it with this
It was-
gentle music.
and it was a gentle roll over.
Let's
a
tell
gentle
Andrew. I want
roll back.
Andrew at Vespa Portland to listen to your story of tipping over your scooter on both sides on one trip.
Well, Andrew,
it all started
it
with
was a
few
nice
drinks.
ride until it wasn't. But no damage. No damage to either side of the scooter.
Because you were not on the street.
Nope. There was a little driveway. There was a little rough and
pasture.
ready. And we all turned out okay.
Are you all right?
As long as my wife doesn't find out.
You know what?
She probably already knows.
As a disclaimer, we don't recommend drinking and scooting, but sometimes it happens. And as
I thought he hit loose gravel.
a little personal responsibility is what's important. And he learned his lesson.
He did.
He feels remorse. Look at him.
Yeah.
And
Are you
no,
okay?
no harm, no foul, as they say in the hoop game.
All right, guys, keep a head on a swivel. Keep the rubber side down. Ride. Get out there and get out of your houses and do some riding, even if it's all by yourself. And thank
Just
you.
like the other activities you do by yourself.
Tip your servers, for
That's
God's
right.
sake.
And thanks for listening. Copyright 2020 by Chasing Ghosts on Scooters in Bars.